Good evening and welcome to Tune In Tuesday. It is Season 2, Episode 24 of the Patriettes podcast, coming to you live every Tuesday night from the America First Warehouse right here on Long Island in New York. We're so happy to be back this Tuesday. The days go fast, but I'd like to be here more often with you ladies. We love doing this.
I know, we do.
And we love our audience, right?
And there's always so much to talk about. We can't jam it all in. And I want to be able to talk about everything.
I know. 1 hour show goes way too fast.
Way too fast.
Way too fast.
Daily show.
We do.
I'll tell you this, even a 2-hour radio show goes really fast.
Yeah, you were
great,
on one.
by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank
very
you.
good.
And shout out to Kevin. I didn't put any assets in. So Kevin Downey Jr., the comedian, our good friend, we love him. I was on with him yesterday, and he will be on soon. I know I keep saying that.
You were on his radio show, 103.
103.9 LI News Radio. He's a huge patriot. He's on Live from Studio 6B, and he's a journalist, and he's just an all-around great guy.
And he's hysterically funny.
And I'm going to say it. Kevin, if you're watching, I'm sorry, but you said it on air yesterday. I almost fell out of my chair. He is 59 years old.
Get out
Wow,
of here.
he looks great.
I almost fell over. I was like, thank God we weren't on live camera, because I probably was like, what?
Yeah, he's great.
Well, if you live on Long Island or in New York or anywhere in the country, you should have been aware of some big things happening this past weekend. There was the No Kings protest in 2,000 cities nationwide and several here on Long Island and across the state of New York. It was really unbelievable. The misinformation continues. I mean, they were saying that, Trump is spending millions of dollars to celebrate his birthday. So first of all, it was in the works for years. This was
Right.
to celebrate Flag Day, our military 250th anniversary of our
the
military,
Army,
of
yeah.
our Army.
Yeah.
So it just happens to be that the 45th and 47th president has a birthday on that day.
That's right.
It is what it is.
How dare them after what Doge found?
Oh, I know.
Like, how dare you?
The waste. But we did have a cover from Newsday. So for anyone local on Long Island, if you're not from Long Island, that's our local newspaper here. But that was Cut 2. If we could pull Cut 2 up.
And they're woke.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I'm on the wrong one.
That's okay. That's okay.
Cut 1. Cut 1.
So, actually, guys, bring down Cut 1 a minute. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I know we skipped a little bit. But because I think anyone who was looking at what was going on at these No Kings rallies, not only on just Long Island, but all over the country, if you notice, besides the inner city No Kings protests, everywhere in like a rural area, suburban area rather, was all old white liberal women. Like it was a majority of old white liberal women
And their gay husbands.
and then you looked at stuff going on in the inner cities, and those are paid protesters.
And those were the precursors
And
to
the Green
riots.
Goblins.
Yeah.
But it was funny to me because you have all these people going out, they're the people that always call us the racist ones. And you look at these rallies, and like I said, it's all old white women. And then we had a Patriot party that night, and I looked around, and I was like, this is the most diverse group of people.
It was.
It really was.
It was
young.
It was young.
There was Asian,
old.
there was
Asian,
black,
black,
there was
white,
white, there was everything. Old,
Hispanic.
young. That's
Yeah.
what we welcome here.
So I did put a little clip together.
This was a great
Brilliant.
Cut 1, if you guys could cue it up, and then we'll go to Cut 2, and we'll talk about other things going on.
She's for hire if you want videos made for you.
Yeah,
This is a
she's great.
clip.
I'm proud to say, go Trump next 4 years, make America great. Cause there ain't no doubt, God save Trump's life, God bless the USA. I pledge allegiance to our flag of the United States of America.
She was owning the dance floor, and everybody was
For
amazing.
which it stands,
She's
one
rocking.
nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 50 great states in America.
Big difference.
And that's how happy Patriots are.
Yes.
Like, just happy celebrating.
Yeah.
All the time.
And that's why when, as a Patriot group leader, and everyone was calling us last week and saying, are you going to counter? They were emailing here. Are we going to go counter? I said, absolutely not. I told the Patriots to stand down. I thought my own opinion. I thought it was a setup, like a J6 setup. And I said,
until you saw that it was all geriatric patients.
geriatric, seriously, which was hysterical.
In the suburban areas.
But I
It
said,
was a
we're going to
riot.
be celebrating Donald Trump and Flag Day and the 250th birthday of the Army at the most patriotic venue in the planet. I am not even giving credence. I didn't want anything to do with that nonsense.
Yeah.
I felt the same way. Yeah.
I love Ron
Anyway.
DeSantis down in Florida where he was he was telling people, if you feel like you're
Oh.
in danger in your car, you
Run
them
them over.
Run 'em over.
That sheriff, I want to
Run
get
'em
him on our
over.
podcast. The one who basically said, if you hurt the cops, you're going in an
Yep.
you're going
You
to
spit
an
on us.
ambulance and you're going to jail, or we'll tell
You're
your
going to the
family-
hospital and then you're going to go to jail,
Or,
right?
or if
Yeah.
you really hurt a cop, I love what he said. The big beautiful dogs will sniff them, and he said, then you will be calling your family to pick up your remains.
remains.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we don't have that luxury in New York.
No, but-
No.
unfortunately.
I want to get him on.
I would hope to have it eventually.
Yeah, we didn't want to spend too much time on this because we have a very important episode tonight covering a lot of
We
things
do.
that are going on. And Donna, I'll hand it back to you.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I'm skipping ahead.
That's okay.
Oh my goodness. Well, I mean, we are going to get into some of the vaccine and medical freedom and legislation stuff tonight because it is always a foundational issue, religious and freedoms that give us all our other freedoms in this country. But surrounding that locally, Newsday did, and cut to, if we can pull that up, please. Now we can pull it up.
Yep.
Newsday had a big fun cover page saying parents push back on vaccines. And there's a lot of controversy because since COVID, there's always been a culture of people and parents who didn't vaccinate. Since COVID, most people have started questioning everything that they're told. Rightfully so.
Yeah.
I
I won't
mean,
vaccinate my kids anymore
yeah.
since then.
I don't even like to go to the doctor now.
Me neither.
I
I
don't.
don't- I
wanna
don't
go.
ever.
I just don't. I just don't. When I have to, I have to. But
Well,
I
it's
don't
hard.
want to.
It's hard. You want to feel like you can trust who is taking care of you, because if you don't have a healthy body, you can't really do much more with your life, right? That's hard to do if you don't have health.
course.
So that's like a foundational piece of freedom, having health and having a trusted healthcare system. And our system has been so broken for so many years. As a nurse, it's been broken for decades, and I watched it get worse and worse and worse. So parents have every right to question. When they started telling us, I was in the NICU and maternal child's health, when they started telling us, newborn babies had to have hepatitis B, no matter, who they were born to, what circumstances
obscene.
they were born under, you have to start raising some serious eyebrows.
Absolutely.
yep.
So I love that this is a front cover of Newsday.
Well, yeah, I think there's a lot of talk right now in the news about vaccines because of what took place last week. We didn't,
Yeah.
unfortunately, we didn't touch on it last week. I think it happened actually the Monday before
Yeah.
our Tuesday night podcast. But if anyone was paying attention, last week, RFK Jr. fired all 17 CDC Vaccine Advisory Committee members. And apparently he recently appointed, I want to say, 8 experts. Oh,
Yeah.
17. That's a good number.
17, it is a good
On the
number. Love
17th.
that number.
Someone sent me a thing today that said happy 17 with a big Q. I love that. Just saying.
Well, that was an epic move,
Yeah.
right?
It's a clean sweep.
I mean, also, not to always go back during COVID, but I think COVID times showed the public a lot about, because
Absolutely.
people started really waking up and getting involved and showing up at hearings. And so you would watch the CDC, you would watch the FDA, you would listen to all these hearings and public health hearings and see how ridiculous the process was. Didn't matter what kind of evidence is put forward, everyone had their minds made up beforehand. And there's a reason for that. There's a good reason for that. It's because they've been bought and sold.
right.
So I love that he has refreshed that entire
Absolutely.
Yes.
agency.
Imagine when Fauci had the audacity not too long ago to say, we just made up the 6 feet. We just made that. I'm like, oh my, I wanted to go through the TV.
Oh, I know.
We just made that up.
Donna,
The
do you,
lies that man,
Yeah.
that came out of his mouth. Oh
do you
my
want to
God.
read the post? I put a little clip in there. I didn't put the entire post in there, but
Yeah.
the post that RFK Jr. put on X.
Yeah, absolutely. RFK said, I retired the 17 current members of the committee. I'm now repopulating ASIP with the 8 new members who will attend ASIP's scheduled June 25th meeting. The slate includes highly credentialed scientists, leading public health experts, some of America's most accomplished physicians. All of these individuals are committed to evidence-based medicine, gold standard science, and common sense. So there's a list of the new members. Joseph Hibbelin, Martin Kuldorf, Retsef Levy or Levi, Robert Malone, Cody Meisner, James Pagano, Vicky Pebsworth, and Michael Ross. I mean, these are noteworthy people with incredible experience and a lot of tenacity.
Yeah.
So it's exciting.
Yeah,
Yep.
It
look
is.
forward to hearing.
And the
more from them.
boys just had Robert Malone on their
they
podcast a
did.
few minutes ago. I don't know if you guys watch.
I caught a few.
It was great. Yep. Know Your
Tune in.
Enemies.
Know
if
Your
you wanna
Enemies
tune
podcast.
in from our website. Absolutely. And I think they're going to try to get them on our show too.
Yay!
Yeah. So these are exciting times. This is what we voted for.
Yeah.
These are
Sure
the
is.
changes that are so desperately needed and what we're looking for. So when we come back, we only have a few more minutes. We're going to talk a little bit about the Religious Liberty Commission, and we have a Barbara Lowe Fisher. She is the co-founder and CEO of NVIC, NVIC.org. She is the original gangster mom. She's a mama bear. She's down in Florida, but she's the original with vaccine safety and really sounding the alarm. So we're looking forward to having her on when we come back from commercial break in just a few seconds.
Thank you.
We still got a minute to go.
I thought he said.
I thought he said it too.
Just kidding.
Oh my gosh,
Psych.
this is a nightmare.
It's all right. This is what happens when you have a live show every now and then.
I actually listened for the clip that we had with Barbara. I had listened to. It's like a 40-minute long, video that she did where she described, in detail. It really caught my attention. It was very good.
Which one she described in detail? What?
Of everything that's going on with the lawsuit, the original lawsuit case
Yeah.
that was the Supreme Court lawsuit back
Yeah.
in like a century ago, and where it puts us now. So it was very interesting.
Oh.
So I do look forward to talking.
Before we go to break, I just want to say we have our good new friend Bobby here from
Oh,
Free
yes.
Minds Thrive in the audience tonight watching
We
us, and we're
do.
going to bring him on next week, and we're going to talk about his amazing product.
Oh, this stuff,
later.
Maha Gold. It is.
We'll come back to that at the end of the show, but that is...
I want to say awesome.
It's a wrestling. Amazing, stupendous. I'll come up with
Where's
a
the
lot.
button?
We'll
right
see you
back.
after commercial break. Thanks, guys.
I told you this was crazy. I'm out of here. No lights. Free stuff for all. I have to be such a downer.
For you, bow to the master staff. Come to me. Oh my God, this guy's from Jersey.
Hi, how you doing? Fuck up my stage.
I'm pretty sure I'm a woman.
No, you're not, Steve. Oh! Oh!
A little wet on my side. Now instead of a poke, you're getting a smack!
What have I done?
Hi, my name is Elena Ruseva, aka Megalangela. Please check my art at www.megalangela.vip.
It's me, Joe the Box, the America First Warehouse. No, it's the America First Motor Club here in Ronkonkoma, 9013th Avenue. Sunday morning, we're opening up 9 a.m. Beautiful artwork from Nelson Medina. We just passed him over there. We're coming in Sunday at 9 a.m. hot. We're going to raise some money for our veterans. The event is free. You make some donations, buy a hamburger. There will be food, plenty of it. We love this country. Congratulations, President Trump. Congratulations to our country. One nation, under God, Sunday morning.
Are you a musician, comedian, actor, filmmaker, or artist who stands for traditional American values? Do you believe in the preservation of our nation, our culture, and our freedoms? If you share our passion for America and want to use your talents to make a difference, we want to hear from you. Our mission is clear. Through the arts, we uphold the principles of freedom, faith, family, and the American spirit. It's time to step up to the mic and make your voices heard. So contact us at AmericanConservativeArtists.com.
America First Warehouse was really the most patriotic venue that you can ever imagine. We wanted to build something for people to be able to come to and feel so comfortable and so relaxed because there is nothing out there like it. We give an opportunity for people to really feel good about themselves and about this great country.
Welcome back to the Patriettes podcast. We're so excited to have Barbara Lowe Fisher with us tonight. She is the co-founder and president of the National Vaccine Information Center, known as nvic.org. Barbara, welcome to our podcast, and thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I love your show. It's like the Patriot Women's answer to The View.
Yeah. We love when we hear that.
Yeah, that's
You hear that, ABC? We're coming for their jobs.
We're coming for you, ladies. Barbara, you are the original.
OG.
The OG. Mama bear fighter for vaccine information awareness and shouting out from the rooftops. And we'd love to hear a little bit about your background. And we know there's a lot going on that we want to get to tonight. But for our audience who may not know, please tell us a little bit about you, your organization, and what led you here.
Right. Well, it was what happened to my son in the fall of 1980. He's my firstborn child, and I knew nothing about vaccines. Americans' parents knew nothing about vaccines. We certainly didn't know the vaccines had the ability to cause injury and death. And so to make a long story short, I took him in for his fourth shot because it was a requirement for me to put him in a Mother's Day Out program so he could socialize with other kids. And within 4 hours, I watched him suffer a severe reaction that I didn't know what I was witnessing, a convulsion, a collapse shock, also known as a hypotonic, hyperresponsive episode, and a state of unconsciousness for hours that I didn't understand, involving a brain inflammation and encephalopathy that basically left him with multiple disabilities and ADD so severe he had to be put into a special education classroom for his entire 12-year education. So he was diagnosed with minimal brain damage. He was a very precocious child as a baby. And so, I didn't know what had happened to him until I saw the documentary, the Emmy-winning a documentary, DPT Vaccine Roulette, in the spring of 1982. I called the station and I joined with other parents in the DC area who had also had children who reacted to that vaccine. And what we did was we launched the vaccine safety and informed consent movement in this country. So this movement is a 43-year-old movement, going from people not understanding at all anything about vaccines to the public awareness that we have today. It's sort of a remarkable story of how, if you commit to educating people, our mission is to prevent vaccine injuries and deaths through public education and to defend the ethical principle of informed consent to medical risk taking, which includes vaccine risk taking. This is a liberty issue. It is to me, the most important right is the right to autonomy, the right to self-determination, the right to protect bodily integrity, the right to exercise informed consent to medical risk taking. Because, if you aren't free to decide what you put in your body or the body of your child, you're not really free.
That's right.
Amen.
That's right.
Amen. Well, so in 1985, you helped co-author A Shot in the Dark, which then went on to film, correct?
I didn't go to film, but I'm in the process of updating that book, and it never was published in digital form. And because they held it hostage, the publisher held it. Eventually, it was sold, et cetera, and it was held hostage because they didn't want it out in digital form. This was a shot across the bow in 1985 to public health. No one had ever done a documented book and challenged the mandatory mass vaccination system. And that's, the topic today is really about what's happening right now is that we have 4 states that have lost the religious exemption to vaccination because those state legislatures voted to repeal it. 46 states have a religious exemption and or conscientious belief exemption. That's in addition to a medical exemption. The situation in the United States, our founders left us with a beautiful system of government, decentralized system, We're a representative constitutional republic, not a pure democracy.
That's right. Yes.
Right. Amen.
Say it louder.
That's right. We have rights in our country. The right of the individual and minorities is what puts limits on the tyranny. It could be the tyranny of the federal government. What did they do structurally? They created states' rights. There's a balance of power between the state and the federal government. It's enunciated in the 10th Amendment of the Constitution, the separation of powers. It's a beautiful structure because we, in our country, we were able to actually stop the COVID vaccine mandate that President Biden had put in place that could have, if we had been in a pure democracy with a strong centralized federal government, we could have all been under the situation like Australia, some of the other countries where everyone had to get that COVID biological.
That was the plan.
That's right.
That was their
Sure
plan.
That's
was.
right. It was. And the CDC added the COVID shot to the CDC's childhood recommended schedule, vaccination schedule. All 50 states rejected that federal COVID mandate for school children because vaccine laws are state laws. Anything not articulated as a power for the federal government in the U.S. Constitution is reserved for the states in the 10th Amendment. What are we talking about right now? There is a proposal by very well-meaning people, attorneys and advocates who want to involve the federal government in giving back the religious exemption to the 4 states that have lost it: California, New York, Connecticut, and Maine. Those state legislatures have not done the right thing like the other 46 states have. So what they want is the President of the United States, President Trump, to issue an executive order. And also they want federal legislation. They want the U.S. Attorney General to also force those states to give them a religious exemption. Why don't we think it's a good idea? I've been working on this for 4 decades. And in a shot in the dark, I articulated the Jacobson versus Massachusetts decision, 1905, Supreme Court decision. It has been called the most important judicial decision in the history of public health. Why?
Wow.
It was a utilitarian decision.
Yeah.
It was the pseudo-ethic of utilitarianism, which is basically the greatest happiness for the greatest number of people, that allows people to be thrown under the bus for the greater good, is the heart and soul of Jacobson. And what the Supreme Court said was that the state has the right to protect the public health, even if it means violating the personal beliefs of an individual, which would include religious beliefs. It was a utilitarian decision, and it has been upheld in courts, state and federal, for 120 years. Most of the time, that case has been used to deny religious exemption to vaccination. We do not want, right now, our position is you don't challenge Jacobson versus Massachusetts. You don't do anything to get the federal government involved that could trigger a rocket docket, putting a religious exemption case in front of the Supreme Court where Jacobson could be reaffirmed or even strengthened in the 21st century. Because the fact is that states are they're becoming very aware of this issue. We are getting legislation passed in the states and proposed in the states in the last 4 years. More good vaccine-related bills than bad vaccine bills are being proposed and passed in the states to put limits on vaccine mandates, to protect vaccine exemptions, to do things like declaring that the WHO has no sovereignty in a state. So when the WHO declares a pandemic, that those residents of those states have to obey what the World Health Organization says. We're getting labeling bills that proposed, working on getting them passed, that would label mRNA vaccines, that would label foods that use mRNA technology. I mean, there are some incredible things going on in the states. We want to keep public health policy making in the states. We don't want to open the door to the federal government to come in and overwrite states' rights in public health policy making. And so that is why we're asking people to go to nvic.org, look at the letter and addendum that we've written to the Religious Liberty Commission that is taking a look at religious freedom in this country. We feel that it's a big gamble to try to do anything that would potentially get that Jacobson versus Massachusetts decision re-examined in the Supreme Court. We don't think that we have the votes.
Yeah, we were talking before, we were saying how it's a slippery slope.
Yep.
It's a very slippery slope that we don't want to go down. We live in New York and we have to deal with it here, but the fact that the entire country would have to be succumbed to deal with this, it's it's insane. It's insane.
It is.
Yeah, and to undermine the work that
is
so
it
many
because-
people are doing.
Is it? I don't know the answer to this, so I'm going to ask. So right now, the cards are in our favor, right? Because we have President Trump. But is it a slippery slope because we don't know who the commander in chief will be in the next 4 years, and then further down the line, and then the Supreme Court gets involved again? That's why it becomes a slippery
Yes.
slope. Right now, we're okay. We're holding the card, so to speak. But in 4 years from now, we
don't know.
We don't know.
Right.
So to have the
You're
federal
exactly
government
right.
come in, yeah, I understand.
You've nailed it.
Okay.
An executive order can be repealed by the next president. So I understand, and my heart goes out to the families in those 4 states
Yep.
that don't have that right. The legislature was wrong to do that. But the permanent solution is not to put a Band-Aid on it and try to do a workaround with an executive order, or try to pass federal legislation, or try to get the U.S. attorney involved, because you could, like I say, you don't know what's going to happen once you
Right.
open that.
So the answer really is to get down and dirty in your state and do the hard work. Otherwise, you might be screwing it up for everyone else. So we'll talk more about that when we come back from our commercial break with Barbara Loe Fisher. Thanks for watching, and stay with us. We'll be right back.
The Queens Village Republican Club is America's oldest Republican club, founded in 1875. Situated in President Trump's hometown in Queens, New York, we are America First MAGA Republicans, empowering fellow Republicans to get involved in the game of politics at the grassroots level. We host inspiring monthly club meetings on the first Thursday of each month at 8 p.m. For more information, please go to our website at www.qvgop.org.
Corporate transfer, fine professional, moving and storage, and inventory management.
The dehumanizing rhetoric of Adolf Hitler, Donald Trump's language mirrors this directly.
Well, Hitler was duly elected. Let's deal with Hitler, okay?
I don't think it's hyperbolic to say that is Mussolini Hitler-like language.
You say Nazi enough times, someone's going to actually have the guts to do it.
Donald Trump would invoke Adolf Hitler.
What percentage of this event happening was due to Donald Trump's rhetoric?
Don't miss Trump next time.
What do you make of the excess deaths?
None of us, not the president, not those hypothetical guys in the smoky rooms, fully know what's going on, but we can speak about the unfolding of recent history with certainty.
Donald Trump is an existential threat to our democracy.
That is not how it works. That is a threat to democracy.
No. No.
You anti-Semitic piece of
When you make it difficult for people in their lives, they lose their ideological bullshit.
Free fries when you get vaccinated? Vaccination.
Welcome back to the Patriettes podcast. We're in segment 3. We have Barbara Lowe Fisher. If you're just joining, she's from the National Vaccine Information Center, co-founder and president. Barbara, we're happy that you've stayed with us through this break. Before we left, we heard from you about why it's so important that we keep the states with the ultimate control over what they do and how they protect or not in some cases, like the 4 cases in New York here.
4 states. Out of all 50 states, you got 4 states that can't get on board with religious freedom, right?
Yes, but how
running them?
but the importance of keeping that relegated to the states and not doing the sweeping executive order. But we did want to talk to you a little bit also about the Religious Liberty Commission that was put into place by President Trump in May, and their role, and how do you see, if you have any thoughts or opinions about how you see their role helping, hurting, and any words of caution regarding that with what we face here today with religious freedom, and then of course how that impacts medical freedom and bodily autonomy and sovereignty.
Well, the Religious Liberty Commission's mandate is to look at threats to religious liberty in our country and to make recommendations on how that can be remedied. And one of the issues is in the area of public health, although it's not really a main emphasis. But the reason that we wrote a letter was that this other letter had gone out urging this executive order, and and federal action, and we have been working so hard in the states to make these permanent changes in the state public health laws that include vaccine laws, because, as I said, vaccine laws are state laws according to the 10th Amendment and the separation of powers between the state and federal government. And we're very concerned about the federal government because we know overreach is very quickly becomes the policy whenever you get the federal government involved. So we are urging the Religious Liberty Commission to refrain from recommending to President Trump that there be an executive order or that there be federal intervention into state public health lawmaking.
So how can listeners and viewers get involved and help support that effort?
Yes, on NBIC.org, I think one of you mentioned before, I've done a 40-minute commentary that details what Jacobson versus Massachusetts was about and why it underpins all public health policymaking. It is the anchor for public health policymaking, 120 years. So it will educate you about why this is so important to stop. We have the letter that we've written to the Religious Liberty Commission on NBIC.org and the addendum that specifically addresses the executive order. And we urge you to share this information with your family and friends, your legislators at the federal and state level, to thought leaders in your community, so people can really understand that they need to get involved. We have an NVIC advocacy portal at nvicadvocacy.org. That portal has been in operation since 2010. It has been the organizing tool in the states. And you are able to go in there, it's free, and you're able with one click to get in touch with your elected representatives and make your voice heard. You'll have all of their contact information, one click. And it will be also post positions on, I think there was over 600 vaccine-related laws being proposed in the states that we covered and took positions on. And we have a 2-to-3 ratio now of good vaccine-related bills compared to bad vaccine-related bills. It works. If we all get involved, we can protect our freedom. And our ultimate goal, there should be no vaccine mandates.
Absolutely.
We shouldn't have to beg anyone for an exemption, a religious exemption, a medical exemption, which almost nothing qualifies as a medical exemption. We shouldn't have to do that. We should have the right to have full information, make a voluntary decision about any medical intervention that carries the risk of injury or death.
Yep. That's
Yeah,
right.
well, we
That's
certainly agree with that. So, with the states and some of the work that different people and your organization has helped put forward with all of this access and information, what are people doing in their states to help move things along and put forward these great bills? Like, are they getting codified into the constitutions in states? How is it working?
No, it basically what happens is this is an educational process. This is changing public opinion, and it's educating legislators one-on-one, developing personal relationships with thought leaders and particularly with legislators. That's how we've gotten vaccine legislation passed in the states. So it's legislation, it's bills that we get passed, and then they become the law of the state. We're working on bills. Right now, we're trying to protect vaccine exemptions and are doing a very good job of it. But our ultimate goal is to take down these vaccine mandates that have been so oppressively implemented in this country. In some states, religious belief exemption, you have to belong to a church that has a tenet opposing vaccination. Well, vaccination was not developed until after the Bible.
That's right.
Until after all the
That's
major religions were formed. So there's a lot of work to be done in terms of educating our public about why this is so important to protect bodily integrity, have the right to protect bodily integrity and autonomy, and make these informed decisions about vaccination.
So what has the journey for MVIC on your work been since COVID? I would imagine this was a big, pole vaulted you in some sense, just because there was such a greater awareness, but I'd be curious to hear from you what that journey's been since.
The opposite happened. What happened was we had a target on our back. We're the oldest organization that has been doing this work, and they took us out first on the internet. All my commentaries for 15 years taken off of YouTube. We were taken off of all 4 major social media platforms so nobody could get our information.
Yeah.
The only one that's put us back on is X. When Elon Musk purchased X,
Thank
he
God.
restored our right to speak on X. But we are lifetime banned on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Censorship is still alive and well. We're on a blacklist, the government's blacklist, and unfortunately, even with President Trump in power, we have not been taken off that blacklist.
You're
I don't know how long
lifetime
it's gonna be.
banned?
Yeah.
I
How
don't know.
about Rumble, Truth Social? Have you been
Yes,
able to?
we are on Rumble. Those are the B tier platforms. We're on MeWe, we're on Gab, but we're not on the major social media platforms is where everybody goes.
Right.
I mean, it's remarkable because I know you were on major network news decades ago, speaking very openly and very easily about these things. Isn't that right?
Right. I in 1997, I debated Neil Halsey from Johns Hopkins. For the first time, I articulated the informed consent ethic when pertaining to vaccination. No one had ever done that. I also brought up the chronic disease and disability epidemic and said it questioned whether all these vaccines we were giving our children were setting them up for chronic disease later in life. That was 1997.
Wow.
God bless you.
I have a question. So I just want to go back to the Religious Liberty Commission. I know yesterday they held their first meeting at the Museum of the Bible in Washington. And when I looked into it, it looked like the whole premise of that meeting was to go back into, I guess the first day of the meeting was to go back to our history of the of our founding fathers and how they founded this country. And it was because they were escaping religious persecution.
Mm-hmm.
So when I looked at also the players that President Trump has on this committee, besides like Ben Carson, Franklin Graham, I know there's a reverend, people that represent different religions. There's also an expert on the U.S. Constitution who has argued before the Supreme Court before and who heads the First Liberty Institute as well as a top appellate lawyer. I don't know if this is a silly question, but is there a way for them to put into federal law that it can't be undone? It can't even go to the Supreme Court for them to overturn. Like, do you think that that's where they're headed with this religious Liberty Commission?
Well, remember, they are the 10th Amendment that assigns powers to the federal government versus the states. Because we have decentralized form of government, this would, to try to do a federal vaccine law in effect, I think is going to be very, very difficult. For example, after 9/11, when the Model State Health Emergency Powers Act was proposed by, Lawrence Gosson at Georgetown University was paid by the CDC to develop this. They had to go state by state in order to expand public health emergency powers at the state level. So I think it would be very difficult for there to be a federal law that would govern public health policymaking.
That they
already
could put
you
into
already
the
have
Constitution, I'm saying.
You already have
Oh, an
one.
amendment to the Constitution. Well, I would love to see an informed consent amendment to the Constitution that wouldn't just address religious liberty, but would address this whole issue of freedom, the freedom to have dominion over what you put in your body, or we shouldn't have to obey the dictates of physicians or anybody sitting in the federal government, a public health official, or anyone. Who
Whether
tells
it's
us
religious or medical or for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Right.
It's medical rape.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've seen, I don't understand, people got very offended during COVID when some people were talking about, making similarities to Nazi Germany and the forced medical. Right. And the truth is, the Nuremberg Code should have taken care of this internationally, but
Absolutely.
how did we land back here again?
And it's crimes against humanity.
It's crimes against humanity.
And that's
it's really interesting you bring that up, because Jacobson versus Massachusetts, this utilitarian ruling, was actually used in Buck versus Bell, 1927. Oliver Wendell Holmes, one of probably the most famous Supreme Court jurists in history, was on the court when Jacobson versus Massachusetts was articulated. I believe he was the one that authored it.
Wow.
He was on the court in 1927 in Buck versus Bell, which was a case of a young woman in Virginia.
Barbara,
They said-
I'm
Yes.
sorry. We have to go to commercial break. So can
Hold
we
your
cut
thought.
and come back to that right after that? Would you stay with
Sure.
us?
Thank
Sure.
Because we'd love to finish hearing it. Thank you so much. We'll be right back.
Corrupt judges, broken families, families torn apart. This isn't justice. If you've been wronged by the system, join us. Don't stand alone. Hi, I'm Gary Jacobs, president of Americans for Legal Reform. We're the oldest legal reform group in the United States. The justice system in the United States should be transparent, fair, and open to everybody and accessible. Unfortunately, many times that's not the case. At Americans for Legal Reform, we are here to help. Join the movement. Visit AmericansForLegalReform.com and help reform the system before it fails you.
The America First Ultra MAGA Store. For all your MAGA needs. We sell t-shirts, tumblers, flags, hats, sneakers, bumper stickers, and a whole lot more. The most patriotic America First retail store. The America First Ultra MAGA Store.
Welcome, everybody, to the Not So Newlywed Show, where three couples are going to compete for really great prizes. Okay, Donna, we asked Mike, who complained first on your honeymoon, you or him?
What do I think?
Yeah, what do you think?
I think he said.
Lisa, this ain't the SATs. Just tell us what. Donna, who complained first on the honeymoon?
I'm sure it was me, but I have no idea.
Donna is right.
No, it's always me.
What celebrity would you pick for a one-day pass?
For me?
Yeah, for you, not for him.
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon! Wow! Who do you hate the most on her side? That rotten no.
There's so many choices.
Thank you all, and thank you for coming out.
Hi, my name is Elena Ruseva. aka Megalangela. Please check my art at www.megalangela.vip.
America First Warehouse was really the most patriotic venue that you can ever imagine. We wanted to build something for people to be able to come to and feel so comfortable and so relaxed, because there is nothing out there like it. We give an opportunity for people to really feel good about themselves and about this great country.
It's the most important thing.
Hi.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
We're
Welcome back.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Patriots podcast. We just want to wrap up with Barbara Lowe Fisher from nvic.org. Barbara, could you just, I'm sorry we had to cut you off there for a commercial break, but can you just wrap up with, that importance and the similarity between what's been going on in COVID and Nazi Germany, the Nuremberg Code, all of it?
Right. Well, I was saying that the Jacobson versus Massachusetts decision that codified into law that the states can force people to get vaccinated to protect the public health was used in 1927 by the Supreme Court in Buck versus Bell to basically affirm eugenics and the forced sterilization of people that health officials decided are a threat to the public health. In fact, the statement was made, the principle that sustains compulsory vaccination is broad enough to cover cutting the fallopian tubes. So Hitler actually took this idea, this eugenics idea that really started in the United States.
Yes.
And he took it and he applied it in the Holocaust. So whenever the utilitarianism is a slippery slope. And it is the underpinning of public health lawmaking in this country, which is why the individual rights are devalued in service to the state.
Crazy.
So I think that we don't want to fool around with
No.
potentially in the wrong court at the wrong time with the wrong argument challenging Jacobson. And that's my concern, and it's the concern of a lot of people, that we're not quite ready in this society yet. There's not enough of an education about the risks and failures of vaccines and the need to back away from that as a centerpiece of how we protect the society's health.
Well, we thank you so much for coming on with us tonight and sharing your extreme, immense knowledge and highlighting, the real issues underpinning this newest threat that we have.
Absolutely.
So we will be a champion to be pointing people to nvic.org to support you, your work, and to read and learn and share that knowledge and keep passing it on. Thank you so much, Barbara.
Thank you,
It's been a pleasure to have
Barbara,
you.
I want to reach out to you. We're going to get a commercial for you so our viewers can see what you guys are doing and support you. So we'll stay in touch and we can try to help get the message out for you more.
Oh, bless you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
God bless you, Barbara.
God bless you.
Have a great night. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
Isn't she a wealth of
Yeah.
knowledge?
Yes, she is.
I love how it's so this is
So all these organizations that are out there promoting that, or asking rather President Trump to get involved and have the federal government get involved,
How can
they're
they
not
not?
realizing that this is a slippery slope. Is that when
I think that people, I think a few things. I think that people want a quick fix and they
Yeah.
want to strike while the iron's hot, which in some cases is a really smart thing to do.
Yeah.
But when you listen to seasoned, veteran, knowledgeable people like Barbara on these kind of topics, you recognize the danger in doing that. And this is an example of why, just because it's in your favor for how you believe, it doesn't mean you should be championing and rallying behind a president, any president, to make massive executive orders that impact and undermine anyone's constitutional
and he doesn't
rights.
want to. Trump doesn't want to be the president that's just, writing what he wants the American people, we the people, to step up, wake
to
up,
take over
fight
and-
and fight for what our Constitution is. We have to do our part too.
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's
But it's
right.
important for MAGA people to hear this and Maha people to
of
hear
course,
this.
sure.
Just
Yeah.
because it's a quick, direct shot doesn't mean it's the right shot.
Absolutely.
When you look at the awakening, it didn't happen overnight, and it's still going on. It's not completed yet. It's still happening. It's the same thing. It's the same theory.
Well, I think the problem is, like we said, like as of right now, the cards are in our hands, so to speak, but we don't know 4 years down the road, 8 years down the road, how that will be. And if the Supreme Court will, take this old, how many years old, 1905 lawsuit of, what is it, Jacobson versus...
Oh.
What were we just talking about? Massachusetts, Jacobson versus Massachusetts, and use it to their advantage. But I think also we wanted to highlight how many times on this platform have we said that the United States of America is not a democracy.
It's not.
As much as everyone wants to tell you it's a democracy, we are not a democracy.
You don't want a democracy.
We are a constitutional republic.
No kings.
And
democracy is a majority vote.
It's a majority vote. So
Right.
explain it. Go ahead.
No, well, how that works in a democracy is if you have 100 people and 51 of them think one thing and 49 of them think something else, the 51 rule and trample over the 49.
And that's not freedom.
That's not freedom. In a constitutional republic, the right of the individual shall not be trampled upon by the mob and the majority.
That's
It could be
The individual-
99% and 1. And the 1% still has every single right that the 99%
Correct.
has.
As long as you are not hurting, maiming,
Murdering.
stealing, murdering
Yes.
other people,
Defrauding.
you can't be taking someone else's right to, life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness away in your pursuit of yours.
God-given rights. You have human rights.
Inalienable.
Inalienable rights. And again, I think they've tried to trick everyone
They did.
throughout
They have.
how
Language.
many years now through language.
Language.
And democracy. We're a democracy. No, we're not a democracy. We're a constitutional republic.
We have
So everyone, you
representative
need to start
governments.
looking into the difference between what a democracy is and what a constitutional republic is.
Well, because the real issue is once you really understand that, when our schools stopped teaching civics, people got lost real fast, and you'll listen to any voice that gets in front of you. So in the advent of we know there's this undermining of America that's been going on for decades.
Yes.
They don't want a free, strong America. And
No.
so that is, as you see these things happen, you see slowly people in office, people for this administration at what's when they get the day that they get sworn in and the whole
inauguration.
Oh, thank you, the inauguration. Brain freeze.
That's all right.
At the inauguration, like when you heard people that were there for this inauguration, big Trump supporters, big freedom constitutionalists, conservatives, they were calling us a democracy.
Am I correct? I'm sorry to interrupt. Am I correct in saying that democracy is not even a word in our Constitution?
It's not.
Right? It's not in the
not-
Bill of
it's
Rights.
not
It's not in
even
the
anywhere in the-
Constitution.
It's
It's not in the Declaration.
That was a
of
hijack.
Independence.
They did
No, it's
that
okay.
Mass mind control to make everybody believe that if you say it enough times, we're a democracy. And
That's
it
right.
sounds benign. People don't realize that the majority vote is no good, but it sounds good.
Right.
It sounds like it's not tyrannical if you do it that way.
Right. So it's so important, the education, as Barbara was saying before, not just on these issues and topics that we were discussing with Barbara that are related to health and freedom and sovereignty, but all topics, everything that you can look
Yep.
at. We have to start re-educating our youth and our children and our constituents and the
Absolutely.
people in office.
Well, good
And
luck
people
with
in
the
office.
public
Why?
school system.
Because
Good luck.
free minds thrive. That's
minds
why.
thrive.
Yep.
That's why.
But
Free minds thrive.
Democracy does not equal freedom. Democracy equals slavery.
Yes, it does.
It does. It
And with a pretty
absolutely
bow
does.
on top of it.
Yep.
It certainly does. This episode has gone so quickly. We only have a
has.
few minutes left, but
It's been a good one. It's been a good one.
it has.
If it doesn't start to open your eyes and your mind to
Yeah.
to what goes on, you need to take another look because
Well,
it's
it's
a
well
scary
made-
world we're in right now.
Right, and
a
it's
scary
well-meaning
world.
people that sometimes lead us down a path of destruction.
Yeah.
The greatest intentions of all time are, if they're not right, they're wrong, and they don't lead you where you need to be.
Maybe I'm crazy, but I still have a little bit of hope in this Religious Liberty Commission. And
We'll see.
Maybe
Well,
I
they're-
just don't
they're
know
here
how
to
the
do
law
a job.
works. But
Trump doesn't just select people haphazardly. They're here to do a job. There's a reason why they're on that commission, and I think that they're going to do the right thing.
Yeah.
I mean, Dr. Malone put his life on the
I know
line.
they would do the right thing. I just don't know if legally, if they can do the right thing.
They're a commission, though. They advise. They're not lawmakers.
But again, 4 years down the road, there's going to be another commander-in-chief who's appointing a new commission.
Right.
So it is a slippery
Stay
slope.
tuned. Hopefully, we'll be able to report back on a later date, on our show that it's in our favor.
Yeah, and just keep educating, keep talking. Talk to everyone you know. That's
Yeah.
it, and educate them to the realities of what we're dealing with and the dangers and where they can get well-informed information, accurate information. Keep fighting, guys, because just because we have everything in our favor right now, there's so much going on that we need to stay on top of and keep plugging along, especially in states like New York.
Yep.
But anyway, do we have any announcements tonight?
We're a little slow right now. Friday nights, live from CO6B. Come on down. It's free. It's a lot of fun. So come join us on Fridays. It's on the website. But we do have Bobby here from Free Minds Thrive. And I'm going to read something quick. He is a family man devoted on a mission to help people take control of their lives and minds by putting health, truth, and personal freedom first. I love that. Your health is your wealth, and without it, everything else suffers. Good health is about more than what you put in your body and mind. And there's more, and he's gonna be on next week. But we'll say really quick.
Yep.
I had horrendous sun poisoning that nothing was working on. And Saturday night here at an event, we had Bobby here, as a vendor, and Shannon's mom was like, "You have to try this cream," because nothing was working. And
well, it's beef tallow. Did we say that already?
It is beef tallow, and it's
with other magic.
Beeswax and organic olive oil, organic beeswax. And
people
Manuka
swear
honey.
by this beef tallow stuff.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. I left here Saturday night. I looked like a snake. My skin was brown and peeling and
my mom, I think
bleeding.
my mom bought she was like handing them out
And
like
blistering.
she was Oprah. And you get a beef tallow. And Angie gets, because Angie's got some funky stuff on her hands.
Yeah.
And they're much better.
And they're much better.
I wish I did it before and after because it was incredible. So stay tuned for next week. He'll be on with us. We'll talk more about it.
All right, we're going to close out with Donna's beautiful prayer. If I can
Come
reach
closer.
her.
I don't know if we can.
It was hard last week.
I know.
Gonna get close.
That's okay. Heavenly Father, we come before you with grateful hearts. Thank you for continuing to be with us and for us and not yet turning your back on America. We ask that you continue to give discernment to know truth, wisdom, and to know how to approach circumstances with humility and to accept whatever it is that you do have for us. Lord, thank you for the many who continue to fight for goodness and righteousness. Please help us as we seek to uphold the inherent and inalienable freedoms that our country was founded on, not because of who we are, but because of who you are and how you created us. Lord, we know based on your word that we are to be separate from the world and that you separate the wheat from the chaff. We ask that you bring a spirit of unity to your people and cast down any division that is not of you. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
And
And as always,
Keep your faith strong, your family close, and your freedom alive. Thank you for tuning in. Catch us on Spotify and iHeartRadio tomorrow,
And
9
like and
o'clock.
share, like and share.
Good night, guys.
Thank you for joining us, Bobby. Thank you for tuning in.
And we're out.